Everyone. Thank you all for being here. We are about to get started. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we kick off the meeting. We do have interpretation for Spanish available. If you click on the globe icon at the bottom of your screen and switch to Spanish, you will be able to tune into this meeting in Spanish. Voy a repetir eso en español. Tenemos interpretación, traducción para español disponible en esta reunión. Si presionan en el icono del globito en la parte de abajo de su pantalla, pueden cambiar el canal a español y escuchar esta reunión en español a través del traductor que tenemos disponible. We also have closed captioning available on this meeting. If you click on the closed captioning icon at the bottom of your screen, it should be enabled, and you can click to turn it on or off on your screen as you prefer. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I know it's a busy day in the Pilsen community, so we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and participate, provide your feedback for the 18th and Peoria Development Framework Plan. We're very excited to present some of the data that the consulting group has already collected and get your feedback on what this project could look like and what we can bring in terms of affordable housing and other amenities to the Pilsen community. My name is Edwin Ortiz-Reyes. I'm an equity officer with the Chicago Department of Housing. With me today are some members of our consulting group, Cecilia Salvan from AECOM, Sofia Linares from Urban Works, and Maria Hidalgo, who will be joining us shortly. I will be handing off this presentation to Cecilia and Sofia and Maria, leave you all in their very capable hands. But available here if you all have any questions until about 11:30. After that, I will have to hop off. We do have some other folks from the Department of Housing assisting on the back end, but if you have any questions about this that Cecilia, Sofia, and Maria are not able to answer, you all have my email address. I encourage you to reach out. Happy to talk more and happy that you're here being a part of this process. And with that being said, Cecilia,
Yes.
I hand it off to you. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. First off, I just want to make sure I am seeing some chats. Is the chat function working? And if so, please let us know. We do have a Spanish translation happening, so no, it's not working.
So all the questions will be answered through the Q&A portion. So if you guys have any question, we'll be answering them on the Q&A portion of the chats.
Thank you for that, London. I do have Spanish translation is working. So if you click on the globe icon at the bottom of your screen, you can switch to Spanish. And it is available right now. I just checked on that. So si presionan en el globito en la parte de abajo de su pantalla, pueden cambiar el idioma a español y está disponible ya. Lo acabo de revisar y está funcionando.
Okay, so we will get started. Let me exit out of all these
Stone.
chats so that I can actually.
Para poder ver mi pantalla.
Oh, sorry. Welcome, everyone. This is our second public meeting. For those that do not know, we are having the virtual meeting as well as in person. We have mimicked this virtual meeting to be as exact as what the folks that are in person are doing. So we do have, for those that are in person, we do have boards, which we will be presenting data and asking the community members that are at the public meeting to give their feedback. Within our presentation, we will be doing the same thing. However, we will be doing it.
Punto de esta reunión lo haremos también, pero la única diferencia, obviamente.
As we get through the presentation, we will be taking some moments to taking pause and doing some live voting and polling. So for those that are on computers, if you have a cell phone, please have that kind of handy so that you can take a picture. And if not, for those that are on a computer, we will have a link so that you can click on the link and then get to the presentation where you will be able to do the live polling as well. Wanted to introduce everyone and give everyone the agenda. The project team is displayed. Well, for those that don't know, the project team consists of AECOM, Urban Works, and the city, everyone that's been involved throughout the project. Today we're doing some project introductions, and then we're going to be looking at some key topic areas that we'll be presenting our preliminary findings on demographics, housing types, mobility, open space, non-residential amenities, and then asking y'all an opportunity to help us gauge on what you would like to see in the future. And then we will have a Q&A opportunity for us to be able to answer those questions. The project team here, as you can see, is everyone that has been involved. We have been working really closely with our client, with the housing department, with the Department of Planning and Department of Planning and Development, the city of Chicago. It is a huge, big effort to be here today, and we thank everyone for taking the opportunity. We do know that there was some priorities and other community events happening. We tried to make sure that this meeting was open house. So for those that are in person, there will not be a presentation. Everything is come and go. So the 4 hours that everyone is there, they won't be missing anything. For those that are on the virtual setting, what we will be doing is just going through the presentation over and over so that when people can join at whatever time at their convenience, they can be able to join in and still be able to give their input as we move forward with the presentation. Within our virtual setting, Mentimeter, there is an option where our voting will not be reset. So even though people will be coming in and out at different times, the voting will be accumulative. And once that person has voted from their smartphone or their computer, they will not be able to vote again. It's one time, just like it is in person. So to be able to start us off, wanted to make sure everyone is aware of our overarching framework plan, the study area, and really what we are tasked to do. We want to be able to facilitate a discussion with the community and the city to understand what possibilities we can do and present as a team into a multi-phased affordable housing development project. As you can see, the area in the red is our study area. You can see that we do have a BNSF right away, and the El Paseo neighborhood Space Gardens is really close. So wanted to just kind of highlight and make sure that everyone is aware of the area that we are talking about today. And through this project today, we will be presenting what we have found thus far in terms of data, and wanted to get an opportunity to hear from the community their perspective. Edwin, will someone stop me if there's or I'm not paying attention to the chat. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So wanted to walk everyone through the overarching planning overview, what the project is really about. As you can see, it really builds upon each step. And we want to make sure that we take a holistic approach and that we do as much data analysis as we do as engaging with the community. So what outlines is the 5 main steps that are within the project. The first one is existing conditions analysis. And really that's an understanding of what the data is telling us. And then be able to present it to y'all, get your feedback, make sure that we also are getting feedback in what we've seen in the data and to understand if we've missed anything. And in addition, being able to take that a little step further and seeing from what this data is telling us, how would the community, how would y'all like to rectify these issues if it is an issue in, from what the data is telling us? From here, we will be developing development scenarios based on the feedback that y'all are giving us today. And from those development scenarios, be able to present y'all different opportunities of, based on what you give us, lay out. Y'all said, for example, y'all said you wanted more open space and you wanted more mixed use development and you wanted units with 2 to 3 bedrooms. We'll come up with different scenarios, present it to y'all, and y'all give us our feedback. No, a little bit less of this, a little bit more of that. And also look at the financial numbers behind that to make sure that it makes sense from the economic perspective. And is it a feasible market perspective? From there, it will be a conversation with the community to make sure that that mixture is correct. And once we get the right understanding of what y'all would see, then see it from a financial analysis and be able to identify a phasing plan so that we can present at the end of the day a plan that can be implementable from different perspectives, from the cities, from the developers, and from the community's perspective. Excuse me. So today we wanted to talk about what the roles and responsibilities of the community is. So what's your role within this framework of what we're doing today? Really, your role is to be the voice of the community, to help the team understand what the community really wants. At the end of the day, if the community doesn't like what we're presenting, then it won't be implementable. So we want to make sure that we're really hearing from y'all in terms of how should we be addressing the issues, and ultimately making sure that we have the participation and the support so that when we come to the end of the project, y'all are aware of everything that we have been presenting, and that y'all feel like the process has been transparent and that the end product is a true reflection of what the community would like to see. So to get started, for those that have a cell phone, if you can just open up your camera and take a picture of the QR code, not even take a picture, just zoom over it, you should be able to see a little Mentimeter kind of website, and it'll take you straight to Mentimeter. For those that don't have a cell phone and are on the computer, please go to www.menti.com and you enter the code 53027550, and that will take you to a Mentimeter website. Once you're on the Mentimeter website, you all can feel free to stay on that website because basically this presentation will be shown in that web browser. So I'll give everyone a minute to make sure that y'all can get to this website. And let me see. Did everyone get on? And maybe for someone, or Edwin, if you don't mind, can you maybe put in this website in the chat for everyone in case they are, joining in at a later part? Again, if there's anyone that is joining, we are starting our virtual input for the project. These virtual input is based on what is happening at the public meeting in person. The public meeting does not have a presentation. It is open house. We did this in order to accommodate people being able to come and go. We did know that there was some other existing community conflicts that are very important, which was a reason why we wanted to extend the public meeting for 4 hours, and also give the ability to do a virtual and in person. So for those that are virtual, please rest assured you are not missing out on anything that is in person. We have been able to mimic all the meeting boards that are in person on this virtual website. So for those that are joining, please use your cell phones, if you have a smartphone, to open up your camera and then click, zoom over the QR code, and you'll be able to get a little link. It'll take you straight to Mentimeter. And then for those that don't have a smartphone, if you want, Edwin has put in menti.com and the code for you to have access to this presentation. So I will go ahead and get started. So, okay. So first, we wanted to understand, for those that are in person and virtual, to tell us where you're from. So this is an aerial of the study area. The orange is a study area. And in the next slide, we would want you to tell us, where do you, wait, where am I? Where do you live? Where do you, oh, wait. Place a dot, I'm sorry. So if you want to tell us on the chat function, you can within here, if you're on the Mentimeter, you can submit a comment. So you can tell us where you live if you're comfortable. If not, you can just say a neighborhood, nearest intersection. Just wanted to get kind of a poll of where everyone is coming from today. Awesome, thank you. And as y'all can see, this is live. So as comments are submitted, you'll be able to see them on the screen. Thank you for those that are sharing. For those that are, just for y'all kind of see, those that are in person, we're given a little dot and they would be putting it on the map. Also, we would like the next question is, awesome, thank you for that comment. To see your perspective of, where you come from today. So thank you so far. We have 37 participants. Thank you all for joining. I'll give it a couple of more seconds. I want to make sure, it's not forced for everyone to put in where you're coming from or where you live. But if you would like to share, it is useful for us to just kind of see how the engagement has, where we were able to pull folks to come. For those that are on following us, we would like you all to, on Mentimeter, to describe what today you are representing. On the Mentimeter, you'll be able to select, do you live, stay in Pilsen? Are you a business owner, work in Pilsen? Or are you just a concerned citizen? Correct. So this meeting will be repeated throughout the 4 hours. The questions that are being gathered will be accumulative. We will not be resetting it. This will mimic the same type of presentation that's happening in person, which when you arrive, you'll be going to different boards, asking or answering the same type of questions we have today, and then be able to leave. So no new information will be presented at the public meeting in person, and no presentation is being given. It is open house. And that was intentional to make sure that people can come and go at any time within the 4 hours, so that they didn't feel that if they didn't attend the meeting right at 10, that they would be missing out on the presentation, which is why we hosted it in open house status. So awesome. So 14, the majority of y'all are live within Pilsen. So thank you. So to go through the overall demographics specific to our study area, as you can see here, the graphs to the left, the pie charts, have the representation from 2010, and the pie charts on the right have representation from 2019. Now, this is based on census data. So as y'all can see, the meeting will not be in Spanish. It is being translated in Spanish live. As you can see, there has been some changes within the demographics. For instance, within the city of Chicago, the Hispanic rate has actually stayed the same. However, in the study area within Pilsen, it has the Hispanic rate has changed from 83% to 70%. Another kind of big change is within the city of Chicago in 2010. The Black African-American race was 32% in 2010, and in 2019 it actually decreased to 29%. However, in the Pilsen study area, it increased from 2% to 4%. Within the pie chart on the upper right-hand corner, you can see the poverty rate within Pilsen and the city of Chicago. As you can see, the two charts, the two pie charts in for the city of Chicago in 2010, the poverty rate was about 20% in 2010, and in 2019 it actually decreased to about 17%. In the study area, however, in Pilsen, the poverty rate has decreased quite significantly more. From 2010, it was somewhere between 28% to, in 2019, has decreased to about a little less than the city of Chicago, to about maybe 16%. And in the foreign-born area, which is the bar graph on the lower right-hand corner, the magenta and blue, the magenta shows the percentage of non-US citizens, and the blue shows the percentage of foreign-born. The two bar charts on the right hand are the city of Chicago. So as you can see, really in the city of Chicago from 2010 to 2019, there really wasn't much change within the foreign-born. However, in the city of, or the study area of Pilsen, there has been a significant decrease in both the percentage of non-US and the percentage of foreign-born within Pilsen from 2010 to 2019. So this board is talking about housing types. Now, these images that you see here on the screen is to get a visual preference in terms of the types of housing y'all would like to see. Now, this has nothing to do with affordability or the financials or who would be buying these. It really is just about a visual preference. So, and we will be getting to the affordability and all those topics that y'all have been asking questions about later in the presentation. So please bear with us. We just wanted to get kind of big picture housing types. So we will have 4 different types of categories within housing types. So these first two wanted to talk about mid-rise buildings. So the two pictures on my left side of the screen, mid-rise buildings is anywhere between 3 to 5 stories. Are images that you would like, from these images, do you like these? Do you not like them? The townhomes that we have represented are more kind of 2-3 story townhomes. So it's one where, the first level is maybe a main entrance. The second is, living area, and then, kitchen, living room. And then the third area or second is, rooms, depending on the sizes of the townhomes. Again, this is just for visual representation. We are not saying that this is what will be built. We just kind of wanted to gauge in terms of, when we start looking about housing types, what would the community like to see? So in this next question is, out of the two, the mid-rise or out of the mid-rise houses, which ones would you like to see? Do you like the style on number 1 or the style number 2, or you don't like either of them? And either of them looks totally fine. And again, this has nothing to do with affordability or who would, the price cost. There are different mechanisms to ensure. We do know gentrification is a big topic. We will be talking about that in the affordability section. So really, this is just visual preference in terms of, different types of mid-rise buildings. So I'll give it a couple of more seconds. I do see that there are 36 participants and we have thus far about 15 votes. If anyone has joined since we have started, in the chat section, there is a Mentimeter website. If you can please join us there, and there is a code. And once you join that Mentimeter website, you will be able to see the same presentation. So as we can see within this this visual preference, the majority of folks do like the option number 1 over option number 2. I do see a couple more, so I'll give it 5 more Mississippis before we'll move on to the next slide. So now we are asking y'all, what would you like to see? Again, just visual representation. What type of style of townhomes? So again, the difference between the mid-rise building is that it would be more apartment styles, multi-floor. These townhomes are more individual, single family style homes, just with connecting walls. Townhomes usually have either between 2 to 3 stories. They are individual, but they are single family townhome styles. In addition to the voting style or the voting options that we have here in Mentimeter, we do have a comment function. So feel free, if anyone wants to elaborate on, what specific, if there's something about the visual preference that y'all don't like, to comment on there. Again, with those that are in person, we do have the same boards in person, where the folks that are walking board to board are putting sticky dots on which one they would like to see, or which one they prefer, not within the 2 options. Yes, of course. These visual preferences are just for representation. We will ensure that, once it gets down to the project level, that they have the different requirements in terms of ADA accessibility, and ensure that, it gets down to more of the conceptual, actually how we would lay it out. These are from, if you can picture, from a big, 50,000 level understanding of what you could imagine. So thus far we have 16 folks that have voted. The last one had 18, so I'll give it a couple more seconds before we agree. And thank you. We will make note that, and if there are any options, or townhomes that example that you would like to suggest, please, add it to the comment. If there are any existing development townhomes that y'all like that we should look into, we definitely want to hear from the community. Okay, so we will move on. So the next type of visual preference that we have is between a 3-story multifamily and a mixed-use building. So a 3-story multifamily is, again, more of just 3 levels, has, whether it could be apartment style, condos, there could be a mixture between, some are more, apartments where or condominiums where, or town, not townhomes, so apartments, mixed use, anywhere between 1 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms, anywhere from 1 story to 2 story. So really just gives that option within, noted, thank you, within how we can play around with the different options. And then the mixed use buildings is typically where there's a mixture of uses within the facility. So the bottom floor can either between rental, could be restaurants, and then on top be some form of living abilities or options. So within the first visual preference, we have the 3-story multifamily. So again, this is just a visual representation. Not saying that this is what we would be moving towards. It's just the type of aesthetics that y'all would like to see within the study area. I am going to turn my video off for 1 second while I get a jacket. I'm getting a little chilly here. Again, for those joining, it's just a visual representation. The comment section is available if there are any opportunities or examples that you would like to see or show the team, please let us know within the comment section. Again, we want this to be as interactive as possible. Thank you, noted. I will make sure that, there was some good comments regarding if both of them can be options. Thank you for putting those in the comments. We will be aggregating all the comments at the end with the polling options. So the team will be able to look at all these as we move forward. Okay, looks like we have quite the handful of comments thus far. We will move on. The next question is in regards to the mixed use visual preference that we had showed. The mixed use is, again, a mixture of uses. Option 1 does highlight where there's a restaurant, with some type of patio space on top, and then have some living options there for residents. Option 2 is more of commercial, whether it's a mini mart, a nail salon, office spaces. Again, it's just a representation, a visual representation. By no means is this what we are suggesting that we will be presenting, but just trying to get an understanding and a starting point to have a conversation as we move forward. If we can, if there is any suggestions within the areas that you would like the team to look at as it relates to mixed uses that y'all do like, please let us know in the comment area. I do see only 13 people have voted, so I will wait a little bit more till we get at least a couple of more comments in there. Oh, sorry, I should have clicked over the question. So again, these are just visual preference. Yes, there are, and the conversation about the parking needs and all the parking requirements that will be associated with uses that are being presented will be a conversation. And that is something that we will go into detail when we're doing the scenario development. I think really the intent of today's goal is to just get an understanding and a pulse of what the community would like to see, whether it's from a visual preference or more of giving us examples. But by no means are we already presenting this is what we want to move forward with and present with this plan. It's really still at the starting point of where we are at. Okay, so I think we have about 16 folks that have voted thus far. So I will keep moving. Thank you for those that have voted. Next one. So the last 4 slides was kind of big picture, getting y'all's creative kind of visual preference. And really this is getting into the actual need of Pilsen. So this slide here gives you the breakdown of affordability and what really is affordability. So within the US, government says that housing affordability is when a family unit spends no more than 30% of their income to live in their unit. So again, per the US government, housing affordability means that a family unit does not spend more than 30% of their income to live in their house. So how is affordability determined? So the Department of Housing and Urban Development determines affordability based on their area median income. And really that means that each geographic area has a set threshold based on where they're at to determine how much they should be spending based on their salary benches. And so as you can see in the charts here that are shown, this is specific to our study area. So the current housing need within 2019, the first bar chart on the upper right-hand corner is the average median income. As you can see, that's more than 30%. There's an owner occupied and then there's renter occupied. So you can see that the areas, the units of owner occupied that are within less than the AMI, we are currently in a deficiency of 217 units of owner occupied, and then in renter occupied, we're actually a little more than 1,200 units in deficit of needing to be lower than that 30% AMI within the study area. As you can see, within the owner occupied, it does decrease the higher the AMI is. And within renter occupied, there is some surplus within the 30 to 80% rate, but there is a deficiency within that 80 to 100%. The chart table, I'm sorry, that indicates the future housing needs of 2045. This is based on projections that are used on publicly available data and data populations that help consultants understand what the future needs would be for the community. So this table understands or outlines what the community needs will be for 2045. So as y'all can see, there is and there will be a deficiency with owner occupied and renter occupied units within our study area. The bottom chart here shows the average outcome of a typical family of 3. So this is a family income, and a family is defined by the U.S. Census within this study area as a family of 3. So these extremely low income is of less than 30% AMI is a salary of about $28,000. So that is an extremely low, what we would be categorizing as an extremely low salary. Within the AMI of 30 to 50%, this is what we would be categorizing as very low income. And this is anywhere between $28,000 to $46,000. And then low income is any family between $46,000 to $75,000. So these are the brackets that we will be using as when we define housing requirements based on the outcomes of a family of 3. So if a family of 3 has an income of anywhere between $46,000 to $75,000, they will be represented as a low income. Any family unit of a salary of $28,000 to a little less than $47,000 would be categorized as very low. And then any family of less than $28,000 would be considered extremely low income. And these are all determined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This next slide outlines the housing affordability profile. And this is to give y'all an example of what affordability looks like for different types of profiles. So as you can see, the first example, the columns or the rows on the left show different profiles, whether it's a part-time employee, like a restaurant cook, a teacher, a nurse, or a bank manager. And again, these were just given as examples for the community to kind of get an understanding of what affordability and how housing rates based on a person's salary will affect that person's quality of life. And that's really what that AMI really indicates. The rows, the first one shows the income of that profile and shows the amount of cost it would be for that profile depending on the type of housing unit they would be renting. So the second column labeled individual studio shows that the average rate is about $730.
30 de renta.
Sorry, should I slow down?
Disculpen. Voy más despacio.
I think you're good, Cecilia. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Bueno,
Sorry.
disculpen.
The second
La segunda
row
columna
is the individual
es estudio
studio.
individual.
We are
For-
hearing the Spanish interpretation that needs to be switched over so we can't hear it anymore.
Sorry, thank you. It was throwing me off a little.
Gracias.
These numbers were
Estos
taken
números
from
se tomaron de
the HUD
del
profile, and
corazón
it
del
is
perfil,
based to
de
our
la
study
base del perfil.
area.
Está basado en el área de
Luis, can you pause real quick? Give me a second. We're trying to set up the something happened with the language channel.
I'm so sorry. Sorry,
Yeah,
Miss
no
Cecilia.
worries. It's not.
All right.
All right, try it now, Cecilia.
Hi, yes. Okay, so the columns, the individual studio, the family of 2, family of 3, or family of 4 outlines the type of housing units that profile could typically be renting and the cost that they would be paying for that. Again, this chart is to give the community an understanding of what that rent cost based on that typical profile salary would represent, and that is how you get to that AMI percentage. So for instance, the top profile is a part-time employee. Their typical income would be 28,000. If that person is a single, person, they live in a studio, they would be typically paying about $730 in rent.
$230 a renta por un estudio individual.
Area, and that would mean that that person's AMI average medium income is 40%, which means that they are paying 40% of their salary to paying for their rent. Again, affordability means that a person should be paying no more than 30%. So this person is actually paying a lot for that one studio. If that part-time employee had a family of 4, was renting a 3-bedroom apartment for a family of 4 and was paying a rent of about $781, their AMI would be about 30%, again, based on their rent to their salary income. Now, if we go to the teacher example of a profile, a teacher's example is about $75,000 a year. If they have, so their housing rate market. So there, let's do the example of a family of 4, which is a 3-bedroom apartment. Their rent is about $1,563, which based on their salary, their income, their AMI would be 60%. Again, this is to give y'all an understanding that we understand that there needs to be more affordability, in terms of someone to really understand and have a quality of life. Housing is a big challenge for the community, and we understand the demographics of the community, and we have this profile so that everyone gets an understanding of the different perspectives that we need to be looking at as we think about housing options within our study area. So if we move to the next slide, and if you give me a second, I need some water. This bar chart here shows the housing property sales within our study area. So you can see within the bar charts, the colors, the light green, the blue, the orange, gold, and then the dark green represents single family condominiums, buildings with 2 to 4 units, and then buildings with 5+ units in there. The lines that show within the bar chart show the sales price per condominiums, single family, and multifamily. And it shows the increase or the time frame of 2015 all the way up to 2021. So as you can see, this bottom condominiums and the sales of multifamily has been going up and down. And then the amount of buildings of 2 to 4 units and 5+ units have been pretty consistent through times change. One thing that we wanted to really ask the community is, from y'all's perspective, we know that there are lots of barriers to owning a house within, or a unit within the study area. What we would like to get an understanding is, what is the biggest barrier for community members to own a home within Pilsen? Is it a down payment? Is it access to loans financing? Is it the limited housing options, the limited affordability sales price, quality of housing quality options? So we know that these are all barriers. There's no questions about it. What we would like to know is, what is, from your perspective today, what is the biggest barrier to you? So if y'all could respond using the voting option. For those that have joined, I do see that the 39, the number of participants has increased. Please use on the chat function, there is a mentimeter.com website as well as a code. Please log in through this website and join us. We will be going through the presentation in a continuous status. Those that are in person at the public meeting will not be, we'll be having the same types of questions. There is no presentation for those at the meeting. It is all basically the same type of boards, except that those that are in person will be putting Post-its on these questions, and we are doing live polling. We will not be resetting these questions, so that at the very end of the 4 hours, we will have cumulative responses by everyone. So please feel free to tell us. We understand that all these are barriers. We would like to know, what is the biggest barrier from your perspective? And if there is another area barrier in your perspective, please use the comment function to let us know what that barrier is. And this question is really so that we get an understanding of, when it comes down to talking about housing options and looking at opportunities, to seeing if there are any partnerships that we can look into, policies, if there is any type of public-private ventures. It's just an opportunity for the consulting team to get an understanding of what is the biggest challenge from the community's perspective to own a home. Thank you for those that are adding comments. All the comments and voting will be captured and will be evaluated and analyzed along with all the boards that are being conducted in person. So we have 15 comments thus far. I'll give it a couple more seconds in case anyone wants to add their vote. Okay, so now we will go to open space. And Maria, I'm not sure if you're on did you want me to continue or do you want to take over?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, sorry about that. I had some issues logging in. If you want, I could continue with this slide.
Okay. Just tell me when to move forward and I can click the slides.
Okay, no problem. All right, so hi, my name is Maria. I work at UrbanWorks. I am part of one of the consultants team. Sorry for joining in late. So on the next slide, we have this open space questions that we wanted to go over with you. Our first question here, we're gonna ask it first and then move over to the slide so you can answer them. So their first question is, how often do you go to the parks or trails in Pilsen? Is it daily, once a week, more than once a week, once a month, or never? I think we can move to the next slide, Cecilia. All right, so you can start on the app and answer how often do you go to the parks or trails of Pilsen. We're trying to see how much of the open space people take advantage of at Pilsen. Do you like walking around daily? I know in the summer it's really nice to go to the park and go out with the kids, go out with the dog. We would like to be able to add these kind of amenities to the project. So we see here that about 5 of you answered that you go on, you go out to the park and trails daily. A little moment to get more people.
Un momento.
About 4 people go once a week.
4 gente van una vez a la semana.
More than once a week. People want sidewalks near their home. Okay, it looks like if the answer's passed, we can go to the next question.
Okay. So I am getting, I did see on the chat that are saying if we can give a little bit, I'll try to wait till we get to at least 16 comments. Maria, if that's okay, just that's kind of been
That's fine.
my number. And I did see one comment saying that we may be going a little too fast. So I want to make sure everyone has time to type in.
Right. Yeah, and like Cecilia had said before, we're going to continue this presentation in a loop. So these aren't the only answers that we will have at the end of the day. We will accumulate all of the answers that we got in person. We will accumulate your answers right now here. We'll go in a loop, collect more answers.
Okay, I'll move forward. If there's hasn't.
And we want to see if we can do something with that area, or if you want to remove it, we can expand it, develop it into a passive space for walking. You can create an elevated overlook. If anyone has been in Chinatown, there's a park with a big mound that has a view of the city. We could take advantage of that on the Pilsen site, make views out of it. Someone's saying connect the trail down Sangamon. Connected towards the El Paseo garden. If you want to give us your suggestions also, you can select other and type in your suggestion in the comments. I see some people answer to remove and expand the usable site area. You can give us your comments on what you think we should do with that instead. So I see someone doesn't understand what the whirl spurt is. So on the site, there is a area where a railway crosses through it. I don't think there's any active trains on there right now, but it is elevated. There's a piece of land that runs across the site and it's elevated. And so we want to know if we should remove that area. Someone says building houses on it. If we should remove it, we make the land flat, use it for some other amenity or housing. We can use that elevated area path and convert it into a nicer path with benches or trees, an area where people can cross to the sites. Someone says develop affordable housing. And Cecilia, we're at 16 responses now. Yes, it runs south to north. I don't know if we have another map to show you. For those, I mean, for those of you who are also on their phones, you can right now on the slide, we don't have the site to show you, but on Google Maps, if you go to the aerial site, you'll be able to see that there's trails, the trail that runs across the site. A little house for the veterans, someone said.
As soon as I want to press the next button, we get another comment or vote. So 4 more Mississippis, and then we will move forward.
Okay. And so the next question is about keep going about open space. So we're going to go over some activities that you would like to see in the study area. We have active spaces, open land for kids to play sports, or if you want to come over and play football on this space, any sports, any running around, walking your dog. Passive space where people are just walking through, enjoying the trees, enjoying the sunlight. We have 24/7 all season programming. So this is more for like, if you've ever seen around Millennium Park, there's the Bean, that one is all season, they don't move it. The towers with the water that runs out of the towers, and a lot of kids come over the summer and they play in the splash park. Programming like that doesn't move and can stay there all season. There's also the option of arts or performance, special events. In this image specifically, we have some raised areas with steps. People can come there and have an art performance, or if there's any event in Pilsen, I know there's spaces where people come out and they sell clothing and they sell jewelry. So this area can be used for any event for the community. And we can go to the next slide so people can start answering the questions. Who owns the land that is being discussed here? So it was the city who purchased the land. They're the ones that started with this project. And all of these questions that we're using here, we're going to use them to take that into consideration and see what we can include in the scenarios that we will be making and make a plan out of all of this.
one thing to note, this question, unlike the other ones that y'all have received thus far, is you can pick 2 options. And if y'all have any other suggestions for us to consider, if there are any existing activities as examples you would like the team to look into, please make note of it. It doesn't have to be a place or a space within Pilsen or even within this Chicago. It can be anywhere that y'all feel we can look into for inspiration, something that we can consider. Again, this is the very first opportunity to really start thinking about the vision of the plan. You know, we'll take this feedback that we are receiving and then start layering it with what the data is telling us and what the demand is with what the community wants to see, and then be able to come back to the community to identify some different scenarios and then get your feedback in terms of, do you want to see more of this, less of that? So again, all these visual preferences, what type of activities you would like to see is just to get our pulse of what the community would like to see. So we have 17 votes. I'll give it a couple more seconds.
Mini Zócalo. I see a couple people answering that. See Heritage Museum.
And if there's any Zócalo that you'd like us to look into for specific inspiration, please let us know. Okay, I'll give it four Mississippis.
Sorry, Cecilia or Maria, can you define what a passive space is again for folks? There's a question.
During the walkways are more passive because people, they just go there for a walk. They go there to relax. They go there to sit down on the benches. Whereas the lawn, sort of like in the center of Deborah Park, is more active.
Okay, I'm going to move forward.
All right, and for the next question about open space, we want to know what kind of green spaces you would like, plantings you would like to see in the study area. So we have the option of trees and shrubs. A lot of trees provide a lot of shade, flexible lawn area. So this would be a lot more open, less restrictions, more for, again, playing sports or setting up picnics. There's also community or other gardens. So like El Paseo has a lot of plants. They have sunflowers. They have a lot of vegetables growing. So if you would like to see some of that, there's also the option of rooftop gardens. So what has been seen a lot more recently is on the rooftops of buildings. There, a lot of more green areas are being built. Gardens can be built on rooftops. if you would like to see some of that also. So for this question also, you can choose 2 or provide other suggestions. I know there was a comment about having an option of choosing all of them. And that is also an option you can choose. For specifically now, I guess we want to, the reason we say pick 2 is because we want to see sort of what is more important to you. If we can have all of them, that it will be great. But we would like to hear from you what you think is more important. Do you think Pilsen needs more areas with trees and shade? Do you think they need more gardens? Flexible lawns for picnics or events? Urban farming to feed our community. It's a great suggestion. I know that in gardens, there's plants, flowers that bring a lot of bees and fireflies and butterflies, insects that are important to the ecosystem. We need more trees in the city to help cool the neighborhood.
I'll give it 4 more Mississippis. I know we have lost a couple of participants.
Okay. All right, so for this next question, we have what park amenities would you like to see in the study area? So these are a little different. So on the top left, we have a plaza. This is more open space, but as you can see in the image, the flooring is a little more designed. There's space between, shrubs, planting, and sidewalk. If you like to see splash parks, I know it's very popular with the kids, especially in the summer. We have a tot lot. So this is more for kids, little kids. We can climb on these little mounds for playing around, being very active. You want to see a sports court for basketball, soccer, or a dog park. A lot of people have pets. They would like an open space, safe space for the dogs to run free. Seating area. And then a lot of people like walking around, reading a book outside, or just hanging out with friends. Again, give us your opinion. Select 2 options or tell us about anything else you would like to see in the sites. So you have 1 vote for plazas, dog parks. So right now the highest voting is plazas and seating areas. Dog parks. Homeless friendly architecture. Right now we haven't, I see how much of the area are can consider for open space. Right now we haven't necessarily seen or agreed to how much of the site we're going to give for each thing, but we are collecting these ideas to start shaping that, to see what you are more interested on having on the site. We have about 3 more topics that we're going to go through. a couple more slides, but we're getting towards the end of the presentation. And again, if you're joining in a little late, we are going to start this presentation from the beginning. So if you'd like to answer these questions and then stick around for this beginning of the presentation, you can answer the questions at the beginning also.
And these are the same questions that are being asked for those folks that are in person. There is no presentation. It is open house. And that was done deliberately so that we could, people can come and go and still be able to give all their feedback and comments. So I'll give this question 4 more Mississippis.